So you've got the mis, the dis, the malinformation. Where is it coming from? The Harris campaign.
They are legitimately creating headlines that do not exist, running them as ads with the hyperlink taking you to legitimate, we'll put those in quotes, legitimate news sources. The AP, Time, Reuters, all of these, by the way, funded by the Harris campaign. The Harris campaign not driving you all the time. Some of them they are, but not all the time, back to their website. They're sending you to positive articles. Again, guess what? Then they're paying to get those seen more, and then these will rise up, and then that news source will go, oh, we're going to write more articles like that. It's a web that's going on, but mainly it's that the headlines don't even match. The headlines don't match at all. These are, what they'll say, they're not headlines. They'll say, these are ad copy, but it's made to be misleading.
I mean, maybe you're looking about inflation, for instance. You might see an ad on Google, and in the small print, you'd have to maybe have your glasses on. It's already getting a little blurry for me, and I'm just reading it down there. But in the very big print, you'll see it's Reuters.com, so it looks like a real headline. And it says, the headline, which is even in bigger font, inflation is down, lower cost, and higher wages. And then in the smaller print, like, under the Biden-Harris administration, quote, the U.S. is winning the inflation fight. Kamala Harris vows to combat, and then ... And then you can click it, goes to Reuters, and guess what? That is not the headline at Reuters. This kind of advertising, listen, it happens in a lot of, like, if you're buying shoes or clothing, jewelry, whatever, you're Googling things like that, presents for someone. But this one, how about VP Harris's economic vision, lower costs and higher wages? I mean, we haven't seen that at all during the Biden administration. It's been, the wages have been stagnant and the cost are continuing. Inflation is continuing to plague America. And the worst of worst, put it back up, is the first one on our list. Border crossings at a new low. Trump blocks border security. Biden and Harris negotiated a bipartisan border deal. Trump killed it for political gain. Except for Trump cannot vote in the House or the Senate, nor can he veto anything. It was conservatives that had issues that this did not go far enough, and it did not give enough to Republicans that they wanted, and so it did not move through. And the question was it going to actually do what it said it was going to do? And that says it's from time.com. Now, it doesn't hide at the very top. It does say it's paid for by the Harris for presidential campaign, but that's the smallest text you'll see in all of these ads. So why are they allowed to put up their disinformation and their misinformation, but we have to think twice before posting anything because we'll get shut down, won't be able to get emails out, won't be able to, fundraise, won't be able to get our message out, effectively get canceled.
The vulnerable spot for the Harris campaign is the current situation in our country. So you run ads that are talking about inflation being down and the border and how she's going to change everything and how, again, creating those fake news narratives and legitimately creating these news narratives. That is the response that they're having right now to, if Donald Trump was to stick to the issues, they are clearly most scared of the issues. They're not scared of the rhetoric because the rhetoric may not play into helping anyone, but they know that if he does start hitting on inflation, does start hitting on the border crossings, that is the vulnerable spot. So you come up with these headlines, and one of our team members just put, there's a lot of factors that could go into it, but roughly a $950,000 ad spend is about 95 million impressions.
Okay.
So 95 million impressions spent over just a handful of states.
Right. These are the states that matter the most.
And very targeted.
I mean, this headline, the truth about Walz's service, and it doesn't say more about him. It just says, J.D. Vance lies about Tim Walz. Yeah. I mean, so you're calling your VP opponent a liar. In 25 days, they have spent $941,000 just with Google on these ads running. Now, you're not going to see them everywhere you are. You're going to see them if you're in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. So, again, some of the most key battleground states in the country. That's no surprise there for any kind of advertising. What is a surprise is the amount of money. And, Logan, I kind of want you to explain that to people. You put $941,000 behind Google ads in 20-ish days in only, 7 states, so a few of which are very small states. Yeah. That's a lot of people seeing it.
Tens of millions of impressions. We probably could come up with exact number, something close to it. But depending on how targeted it is, you could reach tens of millions of people, if not more, with $1 million in ad spend. We obviously get involved in ad spending here. We do that for our campaigns and for the ACLJ, so we know how that works. And that is a lot of money, especially to be spending in very specific markets. You're not blanketing the United States. You're highly targeting these, and these are incredibly misleading. I think probably the worst of the worst that I've seen, because it is that idea of creating, because it does lead you to a real article. It is a fake headline that they have created out of thin air that then sends you to a real article. And understand what they are doing. They are funding essentially these news outlets. The news outlets then are getting a ton of traffic, which then gets advertiser revenue, and they realize, oh, more ad revenue is coming in on Harris campaign articles that are more positive. So let's create more positive articles. But those articles are being pushed from the campaign with a fake headline, and a fake headline, like you said, that isn't based in some kind of reality. It's, the inflation is down. It's border crossing at a new low. Trump blocks border security. These are just falsehoods that they hope people click on it. And it goes even, they're clearly trying to combat certain things with a lot of Tim Walz's military service, those type of ones.
Harris picks Tim Walz. 215,000 Minnesota families win. Doesn't explain about why. And it was a tax credit somehow under his program, which, by the way, is so common by governors on both sides of the aisle. But it's just using that headline like 215,000 Minnesota families win by Harris's decision.
But if you wonder why
Walz?
These news sources are historically liberal-leaning, they're legitimately paying the Democrat campaign right now for president is paying for traffic to be sent to PBS, to NPR, to Rolling Stone, to The Independent, to Time Magazine, to AP News. They are advertising for these while being misleading to the actual customer. So this is, to me, it's completely unethical.
Yeah.
Of all sort of ads I've seen, these are the worst.
How about this one? Very basic. Harris will lower health care cost. How? We haven't heard a policy plan from her yet. How?
Well, you're supposed to click on it and read that, then.
But that's on NPR.org.
Yeah.
And all it says in the little print, which I still don't think is from the article, Kamala Harris will lower the cost of high-quality, affordable health care.
No, all of that is created ad copy.
Yeah.
Created ad copy. The only thing that's taking you to is to an actual link to an article, but that article is not related. It could be related.
They talk about how she supports Medicare for all, which, by the way, she's trying to back away from now.
But the way they make you feel is that that's coming from the editorials, the editor or the writer's point of view.
Right.
And it's not. It's the campaign.
Right. There's some truth behind all of this.
Yeah. What they're saying is like, oh, this is a headline for an article and a byline, or whoever the byline is.
Maybe not even an editorial, just an article reporting the news.
Yeah, exactly.
So again,
and it says, little paid for by the Harris campaign.
Yeah, which isn't that uncommon for campaigns. It's just they're getting noticed because even Axios is writing about how they are rewriting the news headlines.